'Tis the season, the most wonderful time of the year. Celebration with friends and family. It's time to pay tribute to this jolly month. So join us as we get into the Christmas spirit. You've heard of Elf on the Shelf, but this is Venom on the Shelf.
Well, Die Hard was a huge hit and one of the greatest action films of all time, with a satisfying conclusion that perfectly wrapped up all of the character arcs. So what's the most logical course of action? Make a sequel! Which also takes place at Christmas.
It's Christmas!
The film once again follows John McClane waiting at the airport to meet his wife on Christmas Eve, just like in the original, when a band of terrorists take over the building, just like in the original, and he is then forced to stop those terrorists, just like in the original. So during the night, McClane is aided by Sergeant Al Powell, just like in the original, and is also forced to deal with the intervention of the police and military, none of whom actually want him there, just like in the original.
It won't be the same.
Much like the first film, this movie was also based on a novel, though by a different author, Walter Wager's 58 Minutes. The plots of both novel and film are fairly similar, with a police officer trying to stop terrorists who take an airport hostage, where much of the tension comes from the protagonist trying to save a plane that is forced to circle the airport before it runs out of fuel and crashes. Bruce Willis was once again set to return as John McClane, being paid an insane $7.5 million for his role. However, director John McTiernan was unable to return as he was already committed to making The Hunt for Red October. Rennie Harlin, who had been working on a scrapped version of Alien 3, was brought in as a replacement, though McTiernan would return to direct the third one.
Thanks a lot.
Filming was due to take place in Denver due to the snowy conditions, but when they arrived, unexpectedly warm weather caused all of the snow to melt, forcing the production to completely relocate to Michigan instead. However, the snow still ended up melting whenever the crew tried to film, so they ended up having to use truckfuls of fake snow in order to capture a wintry setting. Because what would Die Hard be without Christmas?
Who gives a fuck?
But ironically, whilst filming the snowmobile chase in Colorado, where huge blankets of fake snow had been set up, a massive blizzard then swept in, destroying the set and forcing production to be temporarily shut down anyway. Furthermore, the spiraling production costs caused the film's budget to balloon to $62 million, making it at the time the most expensive movie in history, though Terminator 2 would surpass it a year later. And then Pirates 4 years after that, it's Pirates 4! Die Hard 2, Die Harder, which I was shocked to discover isn't a porn parody,
Yeah.
was released on July the 4th, 1990, so is this an Independence Day movie?
You think you're funny?
And was a huge success, pulling in $240 million worldwide, almost double the profits of the original, and was mostly well received, particularly for the action and Willis's performance. However, Bruce himself wasn't actually a fan, feeling that the movie was far too similar to its predecessor, even declaring it his least favourite of the original three, though he did speak positively of working with Rennie Harlin. Look, the film is... Wait, what the hell am I looking at William Sadler's ass?
Damn right!
Funnily enough, this scene was actually Rennie Harlin's idea, and Sadler didn't even know the scene required him to be completely naked until he arrived on set, so he requested that it be moved to the end of the shoot so that he could actually get into shape. Could have done without that visual.
Well, you look really familiar to me.
Hey, weren't you cellmates with Morgan Freeman?
Oh, you're right about that.
The movie is pretty dated now. I mean, just listen to this brilliant, amazing, advanced 1990s technology.
Microchips, microwaves, faxes, earphones.
Willis is as great as ever and gives a pretty cool performance. But as Bruce Willis, I think he could dress as the Easter Bunny and still be bad at... Never mind. Although this is pretty funny and it really shouldn't be. There's even a scene where Bruce Willis gets ridiculously humbled. Probably wasn't even in the script.
Don't start believing your own press, huh? Yeah, I know all about you and that Nakatomi thing in L.A. But just because the TV thinks you're hot shit, that don't make it so.
But he deserves after this comment. Die Hard 2 was actually the first film to use digitally composited live action footage with a traditional matte painting that had been photographed and scanned into a computer, which is a common practice in movies nowadays. It was used for the runway sequence at the end and it looks great. The fight on the moving plane is pretty damn cool, I can't lie. The death is nuts, even if their limitations look obvious for its time. There's also a scene with the gun being invisible to the airport's x-ray machines because apparently they just came from the Ministry of Magic. The armourers working on the film even lobbied to have this silliness removed from the script, but it was kept in at the insistence of the writers.
You gotta be kidding.
The action is pretty sweet, giving Toy Story 2 something to parody years later, and some of the gore is pretty brutal, look at it! But it's mostly subtle, so they don't really overdo it. It looks cool.
I'm gonna kick your fucking ass.
The lines are shit, but the action makes up for it. We also get the bad guy from Ghostbusters, Joey's dad from Friends, and even Robert Patrick. It's nice to see some familiar faces in there. The 90s, where it was totally no big deal to smoke inside an airport, and where you could apparently easily hack into the cockpit transmission whilst in the air. Yeah, there's not really a lot to say about the movie. It's fine. It's quite literally the same film all over again, but in an airport. It's not as lazy, as uncreative as Home Alone 2, but it's still not great. It's just the same film.
How could the same shit happen to the same guy twice?
Regardless of them even copying the damn phone call scene, William Sadler is a great villain in this. He's a pretty good follow-up to Alan Rickman.
In your seat, please. Come on, in your seat.
We're just heading towards the World Trade Center, everybody. Settle down, nothing to worry about. And Bruce stopping a damn plane is so badass by using a single grate, apparently.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
But his face here as he sees the grenades, it's hilarious. What is this acting? Then he gets launched into the air like the damn Roadrunner. This kill looks nuts though. He shouldn't. It's an icicle in the eye. It's silly, but it looks cool. Literally. The action is just nuts throughout the whole film. But the deaths are great, but unfortunately there isn't a lot more to say. It's just a big nothing. It's worth watching for the action if it's on TV, but I wouldn't really rush out to see it again anytime soon. It's so average and so unnecessary.